Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's Game Club. It's the third Saturday of the month, so we're here to talk about our latest game, Coffee Talk. I'm your host, Boston, playing it on the PlayStation 5. I'm joined, as always, by Moonpeer.
Howdy, Xbox One Series X. Xbox Series X, not Xbox One Series X. Xbox Series X, there we go.
Oh no, it's spreading. I've infected you all. And Musum.
Nintendo Switch.
All right, let's get into the details about the game. Coffee Talk came out on January 29th, 2020. Published and developed by Toge Productions, I'm going to guess is how you pronounce that. Put out on PC, Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. Composer is Andrew Jeremy, which has his name getting switched up in the game, and the in-game iPod was really good. I liked that a lot. Time travel Metacritic is 75, OpenCritic is 74. I didn't do peers for the release date, mostly because it just happened last year. We're going to ask the same question we ask every month. Top of the pile, middle of the pack, or overlooked?
This thing was 1,000% overlooked because I didn't know about it until we did it for the show.
There you go.
Same.
Yeah, I think I would vote for that too. I don't remember who put it on the list. It feels like a game I probably did.
I was going to say, who's the visual novel entrepreneur of all of us?
Yeah, weird. I also think this was pretty heavily overlooked. I feel like if you are interested in kind of the indie visual novel scene, then I feel like it kind of flared very bright for a couple of weeks, but largely has gone overlooked. All right. Let's dive into the game. Let me bring up my notes here. What we liked, what we didn't like. Who would like to go first? Who wants to start this off?
I really like the art and the few animations there are, and I really like the animation sequences when you make a coffee.
Yeah.
And I really like the music and the sound design.
Yes.
We probably should talk about those things one at a time.
Yes. Should we also mention the fact that it does the serious conversation anime side-by-side panels too?
Yep, those are largely pretty good. This is sort of an unspoken rule for most of the games we cover, but there will be spoilers sort of from
big
here on out.
In this case.
Yeah,
very big ones.
With it being an almost pure visual novel, it's just story. So beware. The game's not super long. If you want to go play it, pause it and play it, and we'll be here. I really liked. I feel like I wasn't really expecting to like the style of it. The style and graphics of visual novels is much more important than people give them credit for. But yeah, I thought this had a cool style to it.
I got very serious Nightwatch vibes from this, and I'm not talking about the wall books or anything else like that. I'm specifically talking about the Russian novels.
Yep.
Because the setting is very what is it? Urban fantasy, Boston?
Yeah, urban fantasy. Yeah, where it's essentially like, hey, what if modern day there were, succubi and there were elves and orcs and werewolves, and they all just kind of lived together.
I thought it was really interesting how it was still a modern day setting. It just had those elements in it. So like you went to Nightwatch, which makes sense. I went to Shadowrun just because I have more time with Shadowrun.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's it's one of those games that kind of makes me want to make a game, honestly.
Right.
Like, especially with some of the concepts they introduce in that game, which I guess at this point might be more me ripping them off than homage. But
gotta wait at least one more year.
Yeah, right. I don't like the first day of the game. I was like, I don't know if this story's going to grab me.
Yeah.
And then by like day or 2 or 3, I was more invested in it, and like I kind of rushed through the last 5 days, and then so I don't know. The story could probably be a little bit more engaging, but the game feels very limited in scope, and like they made some very hard scope decisions on things they wanted to include or not include, the coffee art, for instance, like seemed to have doesn't really do anything except for that one guy, what's his name, Bailey, who wanted it that first time, right?
Yeah, after that I was sort of like, well, I'm not gonna. It's a fine system, like it functions, but there's nothing Nothing. They're not going to like you faster because of it.
Counterpoint. There's an achievement for it.
I know, I got that. That was annoying.
Right.
I haven't got it yet. I need to do that. I'm probably going to do that because after here I'm doing cooking. So I'm probably going to get my latte art on for an hour. An hour! Dude.
An hour, by the way, where your controller doesn't go to sleep. And here's the thing. You have to serve the coffee as well. So it won't pop until you serve the coffee to the person.
What happens if your controller goes to sleep?
It stops the timer.
Okay, but can you just turn it back on and continue the time?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine then.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because I don't want it to be one of those where the controller goes to sleep and it null and voids my progress.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Yeah, I got
the platinum in this, and I had to do that, and I actually did the 50 drinks served in the endless mode, which was actually kind of fun. You definitely need a guide for it, because at some point they're like, I want something that's like less sweet and very cool and extra bitter, and it's like, okay, I don't know what any of that means. Someone has a nice chart out there.
Coffee.
Yeah.
So like probably so this is what my dumb brain did with the game. Is I saw that 5 tries thing, and sometimes I'll have a dumb thought and I won't realize it's dumb because I haven't said it aloud or written it down or anything, and my mind went,
so you're
is that for the whole game? Is that for the day? What is that? And so I got so much anxiety for it, I did not use that for the first like
all right
7 or 8 days.
Right.
So like the vampire guy, looking for his name on the list. Anyway, he I did not max out his Facebook thing because of that.
Yeah, he was especially difficult. I got his maxed out on my second playthrough to get the true ending.
Yeah. So did we all get the true ending, or did
I got the true ending? Yeah.
Don't roll your eyes.
I'm not rolling my eyes. I have feelings about it.
Newsom, do you know the truth behind the
truth behind barista?
Yes, that's right.
I don't think I understood the truth other than time traveler, but
yeah, I feel like my one big criticism, I like Coffee Talk quite a bit. I feel like because of my criticisms, it probably wouldn't be the game I would naturally recommend as someone who is interested in visual novels. I feel like I wish that there were, like, all the storylines were good, and I feel like there were just enough characters in there to sort of be like, oh yeah, like Hendry's back. That's the cat guy. He's the dad of the pop star cat girl. All right, yeah. And like I didn't really hate anybody, but I just wish I had more time with each one of their stories, because it feels like there was this big introduction, and then you kind of check in on all of them halfway through the game, and then you get this huge wrap up on the last day, and like everything just kind of gets tied in a nice tidy bow and everything's happy, which I appreciate. But like I feel like I didn't take a long enough journey with each individual person or like pair of people to have kind of a full story. I felt like I wanted just like a little bit more.
Okay, and I have a question for that.
Sure.
Because this brings up something I said once almost 10 years ago, but it was a different setting, but a similar kind of theme. My question then is that not the point of being in a coffee shop? Is it cut down because of budgetary reasons or scope reasons? Or is it cut down and you only get snippets of the story, because that's kind of all you get as a barista? Sure. You would not get you are right. I would love to see more of everybody's story. Like, I got the hint of what was going on between the ogre lady and the Atlantean. I got the hints of what was about to happen with them.
Yep.
And I would have loved to hear the full story about everything that happened in the weekends and stuff. But as the person making coffee, that's kind of not my role in their life. This isn't their story. It's the barista's story.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. And I think for the majority of the characters, I do feel that way, because you are just seeing these slices of, you know, we talked to them on day 2, we see them again on day 8, we see them again on day 14. Like, those are large gaps in someone's life. But I feel like where in the relationships where Freya wasn't being the one to patch them up, I felt like Barista was the one playing that role. So I feel like I was getting a little bit attached to those characters, as opposed to like, oh, well, Freya's helping them, or the cop is helping them, or Gala is helping them. So I feel like in those ones specifically, I wish you could just see a little bit more. But I feel like your point is very apt. Of, you're just getting these little slices.
Yeah. It's the same thing from when at one point I worked as a bartender, and it's like, yeah, you get to know everybody, but you only get to know everybody in the fractional percentile that, number one, you see them, and number two, that they actually talk about that specific aspects of their life.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I was a barista in 1999 at a Java Dave's in Brookside and Tulsa, which is, I gather, is probably quite a bit different than modern day.
Right.
But it's, for me, like, a lot of the disconnect was less to do with that and more like the game played out like a romantic comedy in a way.
Sure.
In that significant things happened to everyone in the game, and it all worked out.
Yeah.
Which, granted, you need that sometimes.
Right. But it's also. Oh, go ahead.
Like, this is one of those feelings of scope I think I was talking about earlier too. Is like, I think you can see it in that they built all those tools to draw art on the coffee, but like, there's no point in it beyond that. And like, I feel like their scope dictated they could only have so many days to do this story.
Yeah, and it's a very small team. And I think one of the things that is interesting is this kind of positive, like, kind of meet cute barista thing is in the foreground, but in the background you have the newspapers that's coming out every day where it's like, everything's terrible, racism, oh geez, werewolf drugs.
And wait,
like,
hold on, this game came out in 2020, you say?
Yeah, weird. I mean, there's always the frustration about urban fantasy is always that it is we are presenting another type of racism, and it's, oh, the elves and the ogres, or the orcs, they hate each other because
story. Like, they can't tell it how it is. It has to be an allegory, so it's
exactly
more, it's less offensive to people's sensibilities, particularly racist sensibilities, if you tell it in an urban fantasy section.
Right. Which is interesting, watching Freya go through the kind of motions of writing her book in the conceit of the game of like, well, what if there were just humans around? It's like, okay, yeah, cool.
I kind of loved that conversation, I gotta be honest.
Yeah, Freya's a great character. Like, that's I really liked all of the characters. You're not supposed to like some of them. Like the vampire is kind of a D, but that's his character.
He's a vampire, and he's a good-natured D, so that's fine. That's exactly what vampires should be.
Yeah, so like it's a lot of the characters were kind of fitting their necessary roles, but it's interesting, and I feel like the true ending stuff didn't necessarily make or break the story or the game for me, which
it was just a nice little reference, I felt.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty impressive, because I feel like, especially for more traditional visual novels where you go through like, all right, I'm going through the other 10 endings I didn't get to get the true ending, and that's like 60 hours of work, so boy, the payoff better be good. And it's like, I spent like 5 to 7 hours with this thing. The true ending was kind of fun, this like a little wink and nod kind of time travel thing. And it was fun.
So, generally speaking, you talked about the meet cute nature of this whole thing, how everything works out positively.
Yep.
The true ending kind of does a little hand waviness on that.
A little bit, yeah.
Like, he literally says, I just wanted to make sure everything worked out okay for everyone. Which
so
like,
I can be born.
Yes, that too.
Yeah.
But also, then there's the whole thing of maybe it is budgetary, maybe it is scope, maybe everything did get reduced. This is a visual novel in the sense that you don't really have choices to make.
Right.
Like, you just
Yeah.
don't. Like,
Your
you
only
have,
choice is like, do you want to make the drink that the customer wants? And if you do it right, you get like a part of their Facebook profile, and if you do it wrong, they go, "Yeah, that's not what I ordered, but thanks anyway. I'll drink it." You know, like there's no real fail state to it, which is fine. It's not a knock.
yeah. But then my curiosity is, like Musim was mentioning, maybe this is one of those things with a bigger budget, bigger team.
Mm-hmm.
You have the dialogue options throughout. You go over more days because the calendar in the game is a month, and you only
Right.
experience like 7 days of that month, maybe 8.
Yep.
So, like, you experience all of those days. You have multiple dialogue options to make, and then at the end, the true ending reveal is the reason why you're able to go back and then make things right with people. Like, make
Exactly.
things like that's maybe the ogre and the aquatic lady don't hook up, and then you have to twiddle the knobs until the two things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much like another very famous time traveling visual novel.
What? I don't know the reference.
Oh,
What game?
Steins Gate.
Steins Gate.
Okay.
It
Yeah,
very
well,
much
I
is
didn't
like,
know either.
if I turn this knob here, what happens to the timeline? It's like, whoops, bad end. All right, reverse, reverse, reverse. All right, let's try that again. Let's make this choice. So
Maybe I need to go play that, because my takeaway
Yeah.
after this was like, man, it'd be awesome to play just like a crazy butterfly time traveler effect game.
you need to play Steins Gate.
Uh-huh.
So fair warning, it starts very slow, but once it picks up, it goes 0 to 60 in no time.
Okay. Well, then
And,
I won't
like-
make a game. I will put this on my list of games to play.
There you go. And to be honest, I don't want people listening to think that I am judging Coffee Talk by Steins Gate's quality, because Steins Gate is like a 60-hour visual novel that like explains time travel. That's very much not Coffee Talk, and I think that's to Coffee Talk's benefit. Is it's this sort of small, very focused, very kind of intimate experience, and I think that serves the game really well.
Mhm.
So one story thing that I went back and forth on that the game
Okay.
kept doing is there's a lot of like meta. This is actually the developer talking about their life story pieces in the game. Like when Freya's talking about her book and having certain decisions weighted and things for you to kind of figure out a place in her book, I thought, oh, they're kind of talking about debating on what to do with this game. And
Exactly.
like,
yeah.
then you get the two game developers talking and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, there's a little bit there. And like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of little pieces like that were like, I feel like they would have been hidden better in a larger game, but
Yeah, like the Aqua, it was very much showing her game at MagFest, and I think they just called it MaxFest. Like it's
Yeah.
But I kind of liked that though, where it's like this air of kind of authenticity, where it's like, yeah, we're also making this thing, we're making this story, and these are the things we have to consider.
Yeah.
How did you
And,
guys?
like,
Oh, sorry, go on, Moon.
I was just going to say, on that as well, you can tell that if they are using the real slice of their own lives implementation in this, then clearly someone used to work for a big dev, and
Yes.
someone clearly hated it.
Someone
Yeah.
worked for Blizzard or something, and now they're
Uh-huh.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah.
How did you guys feel about Neil? Neil the
That's
spaceman,
part of the true ending
space
reveal,
person. Sorry.
I guess.
Yeah. Neil is probably one of the things in this game that I took the biggest swing on, because when he showed up really early in the game, and I'm like, man, I'm feeling this. This is good. And Neil shows up, and I was like, this sucks. Like, this is real bad. I don't like this like interstellar fish out of water thing, but
Yeah.
every time he comes back, I feel like he's more interesting. Him working behind the counter at the coffee shop, I feel like that was kind of the moment where I'm like, all right, I kind of like this dude. And then when he shows up at the end and in the true ending, it's like, all right, that came together pretty nicely. they did good with that in the end.
Yes. I really liked Neil because he was dumb and goofy in the way that a child is, like specifically a teenage boy, I should say. In this
Yes.
instance, he very much gave me that 13 to 16-year-old boy vibes, and it's just like,
Yeah.
you are such an idiot, and you don't even know why you're such an idiot.
Yeah.
It took like probably his second or third appearance for me to be okay with him. Like the first time he showed up, I was like, ugh, why are you doing this game?
Yeah.
I really don't like the fish out of water thing with the time. Like, I guess I'm in the same boat you were, Boston, with it initially. And I think the same conversation fully won me over later. Maybe a little bit before then, actually. But he was it was an odd one to throw in. Like, is the big true ending reveal then? Is he your parent or something?
Essentially, yeah. Like, he's your dad, and you're time traveling to make sure that all these couples kind of get together to set the timeline correctly, that you, the barista, gets born.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which is cool, because, like, I feel like it doesn't fundamentally change the story. It's just this little kind of like the cherry on top. It doesn't ruin or improve or change anything. It's just sort of like this little wink where it's like, ah, cool. And the second time you play through those 4 days, and like Freya picks up on everything very quickly, where she's like, okay, I didn't tell you any of that yet. And you're like, never mind.
Yeah.
Well, hi, Neil.
Right.
Wait.
Yeah, wait a tick. Yeah.
So I do have one bit of criticism in that I am terrible at figuring out what type of drink the game wants me to make, unless the game just directly tells me.
Ditto.
And like by day 9 or 10, I had just looked up here are the drinks you need to make for everyone.
Yeah,
and
me too.
That was the first time I made the werewolf guy's drink correctly.
Yeah, because I didn't understand. The game probably told me, but I didn't understand that the order you add stuff together matters. So if it's like tea and honey and ginger, that's different from tea and ginger and honey. So I guess I didn't realize that, or didn't pay attention closely enough to the tutorial. But I did the same thing, and I would recommend a walkthrough just for the drinks, because that wasn't the part that really drew me in.
Yeah, the order part hit me the most when I made a drink for the vampire guy with the correct ingredients but the wrong order. And or no, it wasn't the vampire guy. It was it was Hendry.
Yes.
The drink he asked for, I did in the wrong order.
Yeah.
And he educated me.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that tends to happen a lot.
Yeah. Any other stuff you guys want to talk about here? Final thoughts, maybe?
Genuinely, it was a good game.
Yeah.
Like, it was enjoyable. It was a very blue sky game kind of thing. Not 100% blue sky, but very much a blue sky kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm fine with that. Because kind of need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a fast reader, you can probably get through the game in 4 or 5 hours. I think the soundtrack is like some pretty decent kind of jazz offshoot stuff that gives it a good coffee shop feel. And I think a lot of the characters are enjoyable. You just don't really have any impact on the story. It's more just whether you make the drinks right or not.
Yeah. I think for me, it's like, it's one of those perfect games that I don't think I would put it in my top 10 at the end of the year, but I'd probably put it at the top of my honorable mentions. Like, I don't think it's one of those things where it's like, you absolutely have to play this game, but if you're looking for like a cool short visual novel, you're looking for something that's, purely story based and has some fun kind of extra stuff on it, like Coffee Talk is good. The writing is solid, the music is good. There's only one typo, and the game corrects that immediately in kind of a funny way, which is really, really great. But yeah, it's solid. It's just a real good game. Let's talk.
So it might give you some inspiration for new drinks.
Yeah, exactly. You never know.
And it has probably one of the most positive examples of a police officer I've ever seen in fiction.
That's true. That's true.
Mhm.
That guy just wants to help. He's a good guy.
Yeah, that's the key word. You already mentioned the key word, though. Fiction.
Yeah, right. All right, let's talk about our next game here. Next, we're going to play definitely not a visual novel. It's called Tiny Metal. Comes out on PC, PS4, and Switch. In our research on this, we found out that there's two of them. This is 2017's Tiny Metal, not the 2019 sequel. So be cautious of that. I'm not sure what the difference is, but it looks like the other one is definitely a sequel, not just like a complete edition. So we're going to play Tiny Metal next time. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you all next month. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.